I think. We are now live. Hello and welcome to Broadsheet on the Telly. Hello, welcome to Broadsheet on the Telly. My name is John Posterous Ryan, and I'd like to say a very big hello to all our readers and commenters, trolls, agitators, fifth columnists, all of you, in particular those in the live chat. Frilly and whatnot, and Shayna and whatnot, and Mildred and what have you. You're all very welcome. Our panel tonight, we were hoping to have Terry McMahon, the filmmaker, but he was otherwise engaged to talk about his column. But apart from that, we have a full complement. Johnny Keenan from his garden in Kilkenny, Olga Cronin from undisclosed location somewhere in Dublin, and Laura Gaynor, who should be no stranger to people who read Broadsheet, but it's the first time we've met.
It is actually. I imagine you to be older, funny enough.
Older?
Yeah.
Okay. It's we see me in person. It's
the light.
Anyway. So we're going to go through Terry's piece a little bit with Johnny and Laura, who is a kind of expert on trying to find decent student accommodation. But first, Olga's going to go through tomorrow's papers and with the covers. Thanks.
Okay, so we just have the Irish Times in. So on the left is the main story, G20 deal may be impossible, warns Merkel. So this is basically a story by Derek Scally in Hamburg. Chancellor Angela Merkel has conceded that meaningful agreement may be impossible amid policy disagreements and shifting global leadership roles. At the G20 meeting that happens today amid high security in Hamburg yesterday evening, police halted an anti-G20 gathering of about 12,000 people under the motto, "Welcome to Hell." That features in the British papers as well. So we have gorgeous pictures of the cheetahs in Photo Wildlife Park. So there's 4 new cubs born there. They are gorgeous, to be fair. And then the story under that, Varadkar seeks Garda review of Jobstown by Conor Lally and Pat Leahy. So that's based on Leo Varadkar's interview with Primetime Tonight. So basically, he was saying that there should be kind of basically like an examination of the evidence that was given by the Gardaí in the Jobstown trial in comparison to the video evidence.
Yeah.
So, that was based on the Primetime programme. And then that's kind of, there's not much else on the front page because they've got a story that they don't want us to see till tomorrow. So
this is that's a very interesting story, unexpected, isn't it? From
Varadkar. Yeah, there's been a shift though, hasn't there? Kind of, like he's not coming out as hardline as he was during the leadership.
So, what side of the fence is Varadkar on now?
Well, it's hard to tell. I mean, it's almost like the transcript from the interview. I didn't actually see it tonight, but I read the transcript, which is on the site, and it's almost like it's a different person than the way the cheats us, the social welfare cheaters cheat us all, Tory boy. I mean, maybe it is a sort of radical change of direction.
Well, maybe he's listening to. I mean, maybe like he got I know I keep saying this, but he didn't get the support of his whole party. So there must be some feedback coming from the grassroots. I don't know, but that's just my guess. Then, so further down, then there's the Guardian and.
All right. Are there no other Irish papers?
There's no other Irish papers in yet. I'll just have another check in case they just came in the last few minutes. But
sorry, I thought there were more up there.
Actually, the Examiner's in. I'll put that in. I'll just.
Okay, just on that, Johnny, that would be unexpected, wouldn't it? I mean, that is quite unexpected that Leo Varadkar would suggest a review into Garda behaviour.
It's a populist, John.
Which that?
It's the populists. They bow down to the populists, you know. So people are beginning to ask questions in large amounts, and so he's a politician. He'll go where the voice of the people is loudest, and the voice of the people has been very strongly in support of Jobstown. And what a charade it was. Well, charade is putting it lightly. What a fix it was, and the jury were citizens of Ireland, and they've seen it for the I don't know, man. What was Jobstown not guilty? What was that court case? It's in the last week. They were proven not to be guilty. The video evidence is there. The video does not lie. I don't know. I was just sorry. I don't want to go off track.
No, not at all. I'm
Joe Burton. Basically, what politicians do, they listen to the people, and the people are informed now. So this is not, a trial by the mainstream media, because the social networks have basically shown unequivocal support for the Jobstown Sikhs in this case, and the people of Jobstown stood beside them, and they're all vindicated.
Yeah, but
the power of protest is positive, and this is the scary thing. So Leo Varadkar needs to understand, and as Olga said, he hasn't a mandate. He wasn't voted by the electorate. He was barely voted in by half of his own party. So the guy doesn't have a mandate. And then yeah, exactly. And then you look at Fianna Fáil guy calling out once, and the backlash from the main political parties, the established media, and everyone else. They're looking for an angle in relation to how they can be found guilty outside of the court. They can't.
Yeah, but exactly. But tonight is quite significant in that.
Yeah, he's doing a U-turn. So, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing for him, and that's a good thing for everyone. So that's a positive thing. He's seen the light, and long may it continue.
Okay.
Start listening to the people, and they want the betterment for society, and he says he wants that. So we all need to work together. Essentially, no point knocking the guy if he's after seeing there of his ways. I give him the thumbs up. Fair play to you, Leo. It's never too late to see the light.
Johnny, you're in a bit of a bad mood tonight. I wasn't suggesting you were.
What did I just say there, John? Did I not just? Was that not 100% positive? What I just said, no.
No.
Why is that a bad mood?
I wasn't suggesting anything otherwise. I mean, you're
maybe it's this dark light, and I'm wearing black. I don't know.
Yeah, why are you like that tonight?
Because I tell you, he's underground. He's underground.
You're literally trolling.
I'm very much in the air. Look at that. Look at that beautiful sky. In the sunny southeast.
Okay, that could be a very large hole anyway. Not to worry, but.
Am I digging it, John? Am I digging it?
No, I'm surprised because. I suppose all the mainstream reaction has been condemnatory of the protesters, and despite this verdict, this mob, taunted and were violent, etc. I mean, it's been pretty constant, and I felt the muted response by RTE. Like, I would have expected Joe Duffy to have done a special on it, or not to have done a special, but just to have done a show on it.
Well, I kind of come in and out with Joe live line because apparently it's the pulse of the nation. And Joe's on holiday again, I think, this week.
Well, he's
he gets a $500,000 to what? How many weeks holidays does he get for $500,000 on the taxpayers and license payers' money?
Anyway,
okay, we're getting off subject, but
I'll get.
Yep.
Can
you see the?
We can, yeah. Yeah.
So basically. So they're leading there with Varadkar's story again. Varadkar wants Jobstown evidence looked at. Gardaí pledge review, but TD wants full independent probe. Yeah. So it's based on basically the primetime investigation again. I
was just thinking, Olga, when Varadkar came out and said that Maurice McCabe was distinguished, not disgusting. Remember? So he's obviously this goes back a long way.
Yeah, it does. And also it should be said that like Garda headquarters, like management has said that has now said a review of policing the Jobstown protest and the subsequent investigation is underway. So, there's a story in the middle, speaking of Garda probes and investigations. It's into the breath test. So if you remember the 1 million breath test that never happened. So Gardaí have been accused of attempting to bury the reasons for the fake breath test scandal after it emerged. The report into the controversy will now not be published until next month, after the Dáil breaks up for the summer. So if you remember when it happened, there was, you know, like the Jobstown, there was an example, like there was a probe was called for and it was made underway. So it's been delayed. So members of the cross-party Dáil Public Accounts Committee made the claim after being told Garda Commissioner Noreen Sullivan will not provide the report as planned when she appears before the committee next week. So there's that. And there's a story there on the right. Single people on the waiting list in West Cork have effectively not a hope in hell of being accommodated by the local authority, but they could bond with like-minded people or even get married to boost their chances. Yeah. So go on to sham marriages. So there's that. So it's on the move, but not everyone's happy. Fair City's on the move, but not without the accustomed controversy. RTE have been given the green light to relocate the set of the popular soap on its Donnybrook campus, despite local residents branding it as unacceptable.
Where is it going? Sorry.
No, that's okay. So it's moving it to Cairn Homes. Where's that?
Well,
so the podcast is moving the famed Carrickstown set as part of its decision to sell 8.64 acres of land for 107.5 to Cairn. Oh, sorry, they're selling the land. Where's it going to?
Say awfully.
The green screens for all of it. It would maybe look marginally better than the set. Just make everything a green screen.
I don't think it says where it's going, to be honest. Maybe it's just.
I think McCoy's had lost his character anyway. I think it's, you know, anyway.
Can I put a shout in for Offaly?
You want to down in Offaly, Johnny?
Fair City could go to Offaly. We want an Offaly city, an awfully good one. So you know, there's loads of space down there.
Okay.
Fair City al fresco.
Okay.
There you go.
And is that it?
That's it. Yeah, sorry. I was just trying to see if I could see in that story. I can't seem to. But anyway, yeah. So that's it. So Varadkar is kind of dominating. So yeah.
Okay.
That.
Yeah, just it is a most unusual story, isn't it? Like, why? Very, very odd. I mean, there doesn't seem to be for him any political capital at all, really, in it, because we've seen the reaction on the site. I think, Johnny, you know, they've taken a line on the protesters, and they seemed very firm in that line. I mean,
yeah, but John, it's backfired on them, because before, let's just take social media and put it in. That's where the information got out. You said RTE, we remained mute through RTE bias, and we've already kind of touched on how they're tools of the establishment, no more than BBC or CNN. That's the way it rolls.
Have they done internal polling, or I mean, have they?
No. But here's the thing: the old chestnuts, whoever controls the media controls the mind. So people only know what they're fed in the media, and through social media, people have been more informed. So you know, there's no excuse for ignorance anymore. The facts are there. The camera doesn't lie. People have woken up. The jury, as I said last week, apart from the particular guys, the Jobstown 6, and there's still another 11, I think, or something that need to go through. But I said last week that this whole thing should be thrown out of court, because the video evidence is there, and you can't really. I don't know what the other charges for the other people are, but it's laughable.
There's extra charges.
Yeah. So okay. So
can I say I still don't really fully understand the Jobstown thing. So as in, like, so Burton was put into her car, and they got in trouble, the people who did it. And did the politicians say that they were bad, or what happened? Because, like, I see it on Twitter all the time, but I still don't fully understand it.
Well, I think the key to it is that it was spontaneous, that there was no, you know, malice aforethought or whatever. It wasn't premeditated. So, you know, you're seeing sort of people angry, but they were angry, you know, and they couldn't believe that Joan Birkin would come to anything in their neighbourhood after what it.
So they wanted to keep her there forever. Is that?
I think it was just sort of so sloppily. It was like, let's have a sit-in. No, let's have a stand-up. I don't know. Let's, you know.
Yeah, well, it worked out around social media again. Like Joan Burton is in her constituency after making all the false promises to single parent families, not unmarried mothers, like I said last week, which offended some people. Single parent families, she took their benefits from them.
Yeah, quite.
And that was, they were rallying against it. So word got around, and then there was a spontaneous, peaceful protest, and then Paul Murphy and his cohorts were in the middle of that, and they quickly had to organize a very angry group of people to have a civil disobedience, and that's what worked out. And there was no casualties. The case is an open and shut case, and the guy from Fianna Fáil that you had a thread in Broadsheet about it is just adamant that they're guilty of something. They're just red herrings, and they're just trying to throw anything at them. But the people are awake, man, and that's it. And won't just deal with it, like, you know.
Yeah.
Start treating people like, you know, they are as intelligent as they come across, and we're not docile and apathetic, as maybe was once construed. And Olga made a point about it last week, you know, that the media really hyped it up. You know, that Ireland have gone through so much shit with the IMF and the EU, and, you know, how much do we have to take before we rebel? They were actually just putting a carrot in front of us, and then we do it in a peaceful and organized manner, and we're scum of the earth. You know, you can't win, but we are winning. And Leo Varadkar sees this, and now he's beginning to come around to logical, rational, peaceful thinking.
Well,
it's a great day for democracy, man.
Well, Brendan Ogle says that the water protest movement was the largest per capita per head and the most peaceful in the world ever.
Yeah.
That's pretty, I mean, you know, I mean, it's in his book. Yeah. I'm sure he's, you know, it's on the the numbers, but it's pretty impressive. And I think if the worst they can do is have a picture of a young boy throwing a brick into nowhere,
at the end of the protest, she was gone. At that
and of course, I'm not.
No, you're always going to have one or two tearaways out of like, you know, you talked about the big protest. You know, I think 70,000, 80,000. And not one incident. And it was, as we talked about last week, it was so peaceful and it was so family orientated. And that's it. Like, you know, that's the power of protest. It's not just making a point. It's about bringing the greater community together, as opposed to keyboard warriors trying to solve the world. Nothing will happen unless you have people in one place demanding change. Yeah. And that needs to be the presence, that people see that we have people power, and we're peaceful about it. That's the main thing. Yeah. But we do want change. There's no doubt about that.
Well,
and the more people that are out, that's the proof.
Yeah, just going on to sort of the tone of the stuff. The Terry McMahon piece on his meeting. Terry McMahon is a filmmaker, and he was part of the Apollo House delegation that met with Simon Coveney on January the 6th this year, and he wrote a piece that we published on Tuesday about his meeting with Coveney, and very odd. They met in the housing agency, and it's quite an atmospheric piece, but completely without mercy. You know, he said that Simon Coveney went purple. He was physically intimidated and by his surroundings. It was almost like a person from another species, observing somebody from another species, but. It caused a lot of. I mean, I suppose sometimes you're more used to those pieces coming from the right. Actually, you know, there's kind of like that really viscerally strong piece. It was a very, very, very strong piece, and I thought it was a very good piece. But a lot of people, found it problematic. Johnny?
Well, you hit the nail on the head there, John. Visceral, you know, coming from the pit of the stomach and really hitting home a point. And Terry McMahon, I'm a fan, unapologetically. He's a dramatist, but he was in a real situation that time. But he brought the drama to the story, and that's what he does. He's a writer, and a very, very fine writer. I follow him on Facebook, and he has some great pieces. And then it came in, and Broadsheet picked up on it, and then the trolling started. And I had an issue with trolling in Broadsheet just within my first 2 or 3 weeks, and I felt that I wouldn't be too savvy in relation to how trolls operate, but the deflection about what he was actually talking about, was just 6 months later. Sorry, yeah.
Just to recap, it was his piece was about 7 months on, nothing, and Simon Coveney has now moved on, and everybody's ran for the hills.
Yeah. So, like, you know, just kind of looking at the goldfish memory that not a lot of Irish people seem to have, or the media think we have, that we forget about the Coveney's promises. I remember very clearly at that time, I said this is a pivotal moment, and the symbolism was not lost in relation to the 1916. 7 of them went in, and 6 men and 1 woman, and they sat down with Coveney and his people, and they wanted a deal for the homeless people in Ireland and Dublin, and Coveney says, yes, we'll do this, and by 1st of July we'll be well on the way. And it's been highlighted. I highlighted myself that it's the whole different department. He's jumped ship. So and what Terry McMahon was doing was just exposing the lies and deception that he told them on that day. And I thought it was very cavalier of Terry being an activist and just, you know, trying to humanize with Coveney.
Sorry, Laura?
I was saying, like, you know, Apollo House are now just kind of giving out grants and they don't even know what to do with the money. So to some degree, like, they didn't really, in my opinion, do everything that they said that they were going to do either, because people donated hundreds of thousands to them instead of like the Simon community, and as soon as they basically just didn't do anything with it. So is it on both sides, the big promises?
Yeah, I don't know about that, Laura, but I think that money is accountable. They were making a big deal about it, that it is accountable at the time. So I'd be very surprised.
It's there, like it's there, but they didn't do anything with it.
No, Laura, you make a very good point there. But I may be mistaken. Maybe somebody on the live chat or somebody can tell us that they've now allocated it to, I think, advocating home,
community projects. Yeah, but like,
people,
you know, as in people donated that money to Home Sweet Home, they didn't donate it to community projects. I don't know, as in I just feel kind of, as in,
that was kind of, it was kind of, But it was kind of taken off them, though. No, I mean, they were kind of, it was getting to the situation where it was kind of getting to court, you know, and they were promised, okay, we'll you know, nobody's going to be on the street. We'll have a bed for every single person, and so Apollo House wasn't. I don't think it was supposed to be there. That wasn't their end game. It was you know, it was an effort, and it was a symbolic, and it, you know, it kind of made people come together and all that stuff. But I don't think they had much of a choice but to kind of go, okay, we'll do it your way. And so I think then they were holding on to the money. That's my understanding, and they were trying to figure out what to do. And I guess with Simon and all those groups, I guess perhaps
there is a sorry.
I guess with Simon and all those groups who do, you know, incredible work, I'm guessing for the people who were involved in Apollo House, they felt that giving those groups the money mightn't have been the best place for it, given that, I mean, those groups are still there. Funded.
The action was sorry, Olga. I think the action was totally to shake up that industry as well, because
exactly.
You know, this is direct action. That, you know, it wasn't wear a flower today. You know, it wasn't this vague, oh, they're homeless. It was actually getting in on the front line and finding a place, doing what Londoners would have done, you know, doing what Parisians would have done, doing people who were not so used to being under the cosh, kind of, you know, would have done. And that's why it was so outrageous. It just seemed such an audacious thing, you know. You're actually doing something, you know, something actually
so bold.
So bold, yeah.
So bold.
Well, it was all symbolic, really. What 1916 was, they took over the GPO, so they took over an AMA building, and they wanted to house people that were homeless for Christmas. That was the objective. But the reality hit home when the court ordered they had to be out by 11th of January, and there was real people safe and warm and fed and respected and loved within that Christmas period. And the reality was, where did they go now? So Father McFerty Trust and Simon and other came on board. So, but there was a lot of hurt from my understanding of reading, and I kept up to date with it. And I did go up there on a few occasions to just experience, you know, what it was like and such. And it was very, very heartfelt, and I thought that it lifted the spirits of an awful lot of people. So that idea is still in the mindset that something was done and it can be galvanized, and those people haven't gone away. They're still at the forefront of it. So I'd be slow to judge in relation to how sincere they are, because I think that one and all they're sincere, but there is still people that had that experience of a roof over their heads for Christmas, and then it was gone. So that was tough for everyone, and obviously there's an awful lot of people disenfranchised on the back of that, and fingers are pointed. But they're just like the phoenix; they'll rise again, and it'll be this thing isn't going away. This is a homeless crisis, and it's not just people from impoverished backgrounds now. It's people from all walks of life that just can't get on the property ladder and can't get accommodation in Dublin. It's spiraling out of control.
Yeah.
And it needs to be done. This is the biggest problem in Ireland right now. And if it's not sorted during the summer, there's going to be a very, very cold winter, and a very, very unsettling winter for an awful lot of people. So now is the time to house these people and really get on it, you know? However, it has to be done. It has to be done. The money's there, 5.5 billion. Sort it out, lads.
Yeah, but I mean, the will is not there.
And it shouldn't be up to the Apollo House crowd. The onus shouldn't be on them. Everything should be on the government. It's their problem. It's their money. It's our money. They have to spend it.
Yeah, but I mean, I can see where Laura's coming from in terms of they must be ideologically pure. You know, they have to be pure in their sense. You know, the money should have gone to those people they're housing. You know, homes. The people to put deposits on the place for, perhaps. You know.
I would have nearly rathered if it just paid for someone's rent for a couple of months. You know.
No, they did. A few of them, yeah, definitely did. The ones that were still there by the end, they were definitely put into accommodation for at least 1 or 2 months.
Laura, you were on today with Sean O'Rourke, presented by Cormac O'Edra. The other morning, talking about student accommodation. I must say you're really, really good on it. And you were saying about this landlady who had no skateboards.
No skateboards. I came in with the skateboard. I'll bring it over here. Hold on 1 second.
I think no skateboard in the apartment. Yeah,
ridiculous.
But you couldn't skateboard in the apartment. That's fair enough.
By me and found by Broadsheet. I came into the house with that skateboard, and it was just as in basically I used to live out in kind of Dunleary area, and then my house, I was just told it's being sold, so you have to get a new place. So I started to look at new places. I found a place, you know, in kind of South Dublin area. I'm not going to say exactly where, but it wasn't in a good part of town. It was in a place that, that had little young fellas throwing fireworks at you and everything, and they were charging €700 for a room which fitted a single bed, and you could kind of shuffle around the side to get to the wardrobe and the bedside locker. And it was, I know it's a real cliche, but it was like something out of Father's head, where I came in and she's like, hello. And I could just feel her judging me and looking at me and reading into my soul. And, you know, and then she started with her rules.
You had 5-minute shower rule and no people at the weekends.
Yeah, so it was, okay, well, it was no baths, no showers over 5 minutes, no staying at the weekends. You couldn't have any friends over. You couldn't use the sitting room. You couldn't watch the TV. You couldn't use the sitting room or the kitchen even when the person wasn't there. You had a sort of a 30 centimeter by 40 centimeter space in which you could put your food, and you could use the kitchen sometimes. You could stay in the kitchen long enough to eat your food and clean it away, but apart from that, you have to be up in your room. So
was it big? Sorry, Laura. Was it was it a room in a house that other people had rooms, and there was a landlady?
I got the impression that it was usually going to foreign exchange students, and I didn't get this place. Someone else got it, so someone is somewhere in South Dublin, living in this little matchbox, not allowed to bring any friends or boyfriends or skateboard, showers over 5 minutes, and not staying at the weekends. And
was she a nice lady though? I mean, was she a nice woman?
She was just like, she was a nice person, but like, you know, since she had her ways, and you know. Yeah, as in, to be honest, I kind of get the impression that she would have rather not been renting it out. And she, you know, as in, she that her house is her, whatever, her sanctuary or whatever, and she probably would have preferred not to be renting it out. And so she has her 2 million terms and conditions. That's kind of the thing.
Because she's probably in trouble too.
How much was it? How much was it, rent?
700.
Maybe that's the reason.
Maybe that's the reason. But as in, like, some people let out a room for digs and they can be chilled out enough about it. You know, but obviously this person, she had so many rules, and that kind of tells a different story, that, in my opinion, that she'd rather not be renting it out. But
yeah,
it sounds like a nunnery without the perks.
Yeah.
God, I mean, she wouldn't do Airbnb with that. They wouldn't put up with that.
I'd say probably for a short-term let, she might allow a couple of minutes extra and maybe stretch for a bath, like.
But Laura, you got a place where you are now. But just before you went on air, you told me that a bloke, a little tyke, tried to come in through the window.
Yeah, this very window. I had an incident back in October, where I just kind of left the room for a few minutes, and I came back to find a young fella halfway in, and before I left Sligo, I got halfway to a black belt in kickboxing, and you know, I obviously must have dipped into that because, like, I wasn't thinking of his safety or mine, because he could have had a knife, he could have had anything on him. Like, I don't think he wasn't in that old, because he, like, as in, if I was able to pick him up, then he couldn't have been much bigger than 16. Like, so I just kind of sent him out the way he came, like, you know.
But you're on the first floor though, aren't you? He didn't hurt himself.
There's like there's about 10 feet onto concrete, like, you know.
What if you were on the third floor or something? You could have been done for, I don't know.
I could have been done for manslaughter. The point is that I wasn't, and you know, I don't know. Like, as in, I just kind of, you know, I got him out. I kind of closed the shutters immediately after, and then I kind of phoned the police and was traumatized for about 2 weeks after it. But there was no body in front of the house, so he got away. Like, but really, as in, now, to be fair, as in, like, I had left the window open with my laptop on display, so as in, it wasn't like someone, you know, broke in the middle of the night. It was like I kind of, in fairness, did leave myself quite vulnerable to it, so I would be a lot more careful now. But that's just the difference when you're living in any city. That's what you have to deal with. It's not really to do with the house being shit or anything. It's just to do with it. It's just to do with a city, like, you know. Yeah.
Could he be done with breaking and exiting?
He could have been, but as in, like, you know, I had no identification really for him. As in, like, the Gardaí came and they said, "Oh, what was he wearing?" Said he was wearing a blue tracksuit and grey tracksuit bottoms, and they said, "Well, that's really helpful for us." So
that's terrifying. God.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But it's a story that I can tell is the positive out of it, like, you know.
Yeah, well,
did you say anything? Sorry, John. Did you say anything to him? Just like kind of say, like, get out, or like?
Yeah, I said, like, you know, what the fuck are you doing? Get the fuck out of my fucking house, like. That's what I said to him. I just kind of, you know, and I wouldn't normally be inclined to swear, but I did actually say a lot of F words, like the FU word. But as I say, that's just something that I had to deal with. But it's not really to do with. It's not in the same category as a house being bad. Basically, it's in my opinion.
I mean, the dig situation that's about 700, but sharing a room now is like 500. Isn't it?
Yeah, well, it was quoted to me as in, like, I don't know, is that the market going rate, but as in, like, I was chatting to a person in my class, or in the year below me, who was saying that he's now looking for someone for next year, and he was looking at kind of in the UCD area at paying about 500, as in to be getting a house and to be sharing it all, but basically you're ending up with sharing a room and it's 500, you know.
Yeah, is that sharing a bed?
Sharing a room, not a bed.
No, but just like, okay, so you actually just go to bed around the same time.
Two single bed in a room.
Yeah.
Not everywhere is as bad as that, but as in that is a price that I was quoted, you know. And I can tell you that campus in Trinity and in UCD kind of does come to about sometimes as much as 800 a month in the likes of Trinity.
Yeah. You were suggesting that the universities build accommodation.
I think that the universities should just build big Soviet bloc of student apartments. As in, the funny thing is that student accommodation is the only type of accommodation that you can go really, really cheap on and make it just purely functional. As in, if you build the big, just big student blocks that look like prisons, for students, it's actually fine because they know they're only going to be there for a couple of years. As in, it's the only, that's the only type of accommodation that you can do that. As in, you can't really build those for families because they need childcare, they need this, they need that. And students will be less likely to need that. So that's why I think that colleges should just get a grip and stop worrying about profits. Like, it really annoyed me, to be honest, when I was on Sean O'Rourke, and they just kept on talking about how to make it appealing to the private sector, and I'm like, does it always have to be about the private sectors? And I wish
it does when all you have on are Ronan Lyons from Daft, Economist, or Carl Dieters. These people, you know, it's the business for them. It's not housing for them.
Yeah, because I've been watching recently. There's a new series on BBC One called The Week the Landlord Moves In, which is a series where very wealthy British landlords move into the houses that they rent and live on the budgets of their tenants. And like, you know, as in, some of the problems are different in some houses than others, but basically, I'm trying to figure out what I was saying. Oh yeah, as in, pretty much it's not some, but not all of them really kind of forget that they are in the business of people's living conditions. You know, and I think they kind of forget that. So a roundabout way, the point that I'm making is that we shouldn't be so clinical and always about the business when it is people's houses and living conditions. Yeah.
Well, I did. Ronan Lyons came on after you, or he disputed
at the same time. Yeah.
The university accommodation. He said that you know, it's going to cost $250 a week or something. You know, why? It was like, why do universities want to enter into this market? Where, you know, it's above their intelligence. You know,
the thing about it is, like, you know, and now this is information that I got a couple of years ago. I don't know if it's still accurate, but out in Milltown, you have this Trinity student accommodation for first years, and I was staying in Trinity once in town, and I asked them. This was in 2014. I asked them, "Do you let out the apartments in Milltown during the summer?" And they say that they don't. They let out the stuff in the middle of town. But basically if you were to most apartments, like DCU and UCD do it, where they let out the places during the summer. In Dublin hotels, the way that they are, you cannot build enough rooms. As in, they could easily charge a reasonable rate to students and make the money back by doing kind of not-for-profit holiday lets during the summer with their student apartments. Yeah. You know, as in, Trinity already do it. As in, I have stayed, like, as in, the Trinity apartments can be anything between like 58 and 70 a night per person, for one person. So, you know, the potential revenue for that is huge, because it's students who are manning it, and there's not a high standard expected because it's not a hotel, it's a functional place. So I think that it's a load of rubbish, because if they were to build a load of student apartments for the likes of Trinity or UCD, they would make it all back nearly in one summer. Like, not quite, but
yeah. Do you think it would be worth us doing an alternative to Daft, like only taking decent gaffs and decent house shares or decent
That would be good, yeah. As in, like, I would.
Flat share kind of.
Yeah, that would be a good idea, because it's the sort of thing that I would never be a landlord, but as in I'd love to be some sort of sassy socialist landlord who kind of lets out rooms, but does it enough to make like a small profit, but only a little bit, you know, as in that's the only, I would never be a landlord, but as in I would love if someone would just kind of be doing it nearly from a social justice point of view.
Well, maybe
I think that was the remit that NAMA were given, but they didn't seem to adhere to that.
Yeah,
because they sold up to the vulture capitalists, and they're sitting on it. And there was another story there in Broadsheet.
The other thing that I think that there should be is that, like, you know, is that I think that was mentioned is that you can let out a room in your house and make up to 14 grand a year tax free. You couldn't make it more appealing for the private sector, but what was said on the Sean O'Rourke show is that it's just an incentive for people to just charge as much as they can, to make as much as they can. But as in, what I kind of think is that there should be, I don't know who this person would be, as in that someone external should come in and value the place and say, okay, right, you have this little matchbox room out in this part of Dublin with these facilities and these rules. You shouldn't be allowed to charge more than this, less than this, and this is your recommended rates, you know. As in, it's too much regulated by business, by private sector, and this is the reason why it is gone, like, awful so badly, like.
Yeah.
But why do they go? There's just 2 points on that there, and I don't know whether you made the point, Laura, but I picked it up somewhere that there is students down the country that are in summer jobs to pay for a flat apartment, what have you, in Dublin, while they are not able to live in it because they're down home in their parents' place working the summer job, and they have to pay for that accommodation, because if they give it up, they won't have a place to go when they come back in September.
I haven't heard of that myself, but I would believe it. You know, I would believe it.
And the other point then, sorry, Laura, yeah, but like in our parents' time, and I'm just talking about that generation, there was social housing built, you know, and then when the boom came in, oh, you got to get on the property ladder, you got to get on the property ladder, and I didn't hear anyone of that generation saying, hold on a second, we got our houses built for us and we paid our way. But now it just seems to be like, you know, completely, well, lads, you know, it's tough shit.
Yeah.
But and this is something that I found out this week, that there is corporation houses that are now being sold for like 250, 300,000.
Yeah.
You know, so the element of greed there, it's not just right across the leash. It's kind of, you know, when people get the whiff that they can capitalize, it's almost, you know, why wouldn't you? So the need is far outweighed by the greed. It's shocking.
Yeah.
You know, people have the society has to have the realization that people need these fundamental rights, and the government need to start building housing. They're talking about hubs, and now they're talking about going back to bed sits. You know, I lived in Rathmines in the 90s. You know, bed sits. You know, they're talking about going back there. We really are. Yeah. Well, you know, Rathmines is a great place, but you know, bed sits are not nice.
Also, remember, just for I was going to say that I think, was it last year, a statistic came out, I think it was after like the members' interest list or whatever, but like 20% of TDs are landlords, you know, 1 in 5.
Yeah,
so, you know, it's just worth bearing in mind.
And just to move on, Olga was at the Charlton Tribunal for the last 3 days. It started, the Charlton Tribunal is led by Justice Peter Charlton, who is looking into the smearing, the alleged, smearing of Maurice McCabe. And Olga, like, it's fairly complicated. You had 2 counsellors and a social worker being questioned this week.
Yeah, so to put it in I don't want to get lost to lose everyone, but there was an original allegation. It went to the DPP, it was crossed out, like absolutely found to have no merit or whatever. That was 2006. Then the person who made this allegation went to a counsellor in 2013, and then the counsellor who saw this person, she's called Miss D, so that when the counsellor saw this person, she informed TUSLA. TUSLA then went on and informed the guards, and this is where, so the tribunal is looking at the whole timeline of events and who knew what when and how it went around. Because basically the Garda Press Office, or sorry, the former head of the Garda Press Office is saying that all these allegations were swirled around in order, not so much for journalists to possibly print it, but just for them to ignore what he was trying to uncover in relation to a whole lot of other stuff that was going on in Cavan, Monaghan, which is where he was based. So essentially, so far, so there's the module now is just looking at basically the HSE in Tusla. And so this week this week the tribunal heard from social workers who would have been involved in the case and the councillor, the very councillor who made the error. So essentially, when the councillor was referring to Tusla, she says that she had a template on her computer, and when she was putting in the allegation that Miss D made, she accidentally had the details of a whole other person, a whole other allegation, and this was a much more serious. This Miss, and her name is Miss Y. So Miss Y's allegation was about rape. Miss D's allegation was about like inappropriate touching, dry humping. Essentially, that was her allegation from 2006. So that basically the tribunal is trying to look at how this happened, and so yeah, we heard from the councillor, heard from the councillor's boss today, or her line manager, and so there's been just a lot of talk about documents, emails, phone calls, notes, who knew what when. A lot of people can't remember specific things, or they can't recall them. They can't, but it would definitely be. It seems to be the case that there was just a huge catalogue of errors, is what was used today. But also, it would seem that, like, there's so many things, but one thing I think is very serious is that, so there was 3 sentences that were incorrect on this, that were added to this file, that were completely not related to Sergeant McCabe.
And it wasn't called copy and paste. That's the point, wasn't it?
Well, no,
copy and paste because it was 3.
Yeah, it was three sentences, and it was basically, this is in the description of the abuse. So there was a form, and there was a box, basically description of abuse, and this is what was wrong. And one of the sentences said that the alleged had threatened, would threaten if anything was said to the father, or threatened to hurt the father if this became known. Completely nothing to do with Maurice McCabe. And weirdly, bizarrely, when the error became known, and then there was all these steps to retrieve the report, because if you think about it, when the councillor made the mistake, she sent off this referral to Tusla, and that set in train a whole series of events and contacts different people, guards, as per the rules. But some of the rules didn't happen. So, so anyway, this third sentence, even when they tried to correct it, that third sentence remained in the file. So that remained in the file with the guards. But also, I just lost my train of thought there. There's just.
Are you fine?
Yeah, I'm sorry. So there's a lot. There's a lot in it, and I'm struggling now to even focus on what one thing. But it would seem that, you imagine counsellors, social workers, there's protocols, right? There's guidelines, you're supposed to work according to them. So the protocol is obviously for the counsellor, once she gets an identification, she has to tell Tusla, and then it's up to Tusla to tell the guards. So that was the set and train. But also what should have happened is that this allegation should have been brought to Sergeant McCabe's attention. That procedure didn't happen. So there was a lot of procedures that happened, but there's a lot of procedures that didn't happen.
Right.
And I guess this is where this is what the tribunal is trying to figure out. And it's a serious allegation. So you have Peter Charlton asking questions, like, for example, like today he asked the councillor's boss, Fiona Ward, was she satisfied that Miss Y existed? It was such a bizarre question that she would ask such a question. But this is where they're at.
And Michael McDougall, who's counsel for Maurice McCabe, you were quite impressed with him this week.
Yeah, I thought he was really robust, really on the ball. And he said something today that we put up on the site. I don't think anyone else has really reported it it might not be true, and he said that. But he said that so he was basically trying to find out why, he was talking about how Maurice McCabe's reputation was being shredded in private, and this was in question to Fiona Ward, and he was kind of pushing for answers in regards to her response to a guard, the chief superintendent. The chief superintendent asked how the error occurred once he was told the error was there, and Michael McDowell was basically saying that she blanked him and that she didn't answer that part of his query because he had certain queries and she didn't answer it. I think he said she was less than 100% careful. And sorry, John, what was I saying?
I'll give me at the tribunal every day, so it's I'm exhausted. We're all exhausted here.
Sorry, sorry, it's very embarrassing. What he said was, he was pushing the point, and he mentioned that the Justice Minister knew or was informed of the whole situation in 2015. And sorry, I can't believe I forgot that.
Yeah, he was challenged on that though, and he said he could be wrong, but he
said he could be wrong, and Charlton did query it. Yeah. And there was quite a response, everyone in the room was like, what? Because that would be extremely serious, because Maurice McCabe never knew about any of this until December 29, 2015. So this allegation was made, file was sent to the DPP, it came back up again in 2013, a whole, circulation of, a false allegation and everything else. But he wasn't informed until the end of 2015. And that was something that came up quite a bit as well. There was constant questions as to, to the social workers and to the counsellors, was there any thought for Maurice McCabe? A lot was kind of, okay, Miss D, oh my God, this allegation is wrong. But there seemed to be very little thought for Maurice McCabe. And I suppose perhaps why would they want to tell him that they made such a catastrophic error? But the thing is that by guidelines they should have said it to him, because that is the protocol. You're supposed to give someone to contact.
I think maybe McDougall or Charlton said that if they could just have had one conversation, it would have sorted the whole thing out. One straight.
That's it. And he made the point that the offices, like the TUSLA and the counselling offices, would have been extremely close to each other. They would have been a walk away, so it could have been it all could have been avoided. So I guess there's just a lot of curiosities about it. But the Frances Fitzgerald line is extremely serious if it is true, because if we all remember, sorry now I won't bang on, but if we all remember the whole hullabaloo with Catherine Zappone, meeting the McCabes and and if you remember, that's when Enda Kenny came out afterwards and said, okay, I'm going to announce when I'm going to step down. So like I said, Maurice McCabe didn't know until the end of 2015. Enda Kenny and Frances Fitzgerald earlier this year said they didn't know until January. So
they may have known before even Maurice McCabe.
But tomorrow Michael McDougall might go into the tribunal and say, look, I was completely wrong.
Okay. So what's the procedure with this now? It doesn't go through the whole summer. It stops. Does it take the law holiday?
I think there's a lull. I think there's a lull. Is there a lull in maybe September, October? I think, or August perhaps. Sorry, okay. I don't know off the top of my head. But it's going through all the different periods, HSC, TUSLA, then, the guards, press, all the rest. So.
Okay. And we'll cover it every week if anybody's interested.
Yeah, and also maybe just to say that the transcripts are going up quite quickly. I don't know if today's is up yet. I didn't see it, but just disclosuretribunal.ie. Whoever's interested.
Daily transcripts makes for really good reading. Johnny, I wanted to quickly go to Leo Varadkar mentioned the Regina O'Doherty thing, or Regina Doherty. Regina Doherty.
I always get it wrong.
I get it wrong too. Who's an American, a Tyrone woman, blogger, academic, was stopped by two guards and asked about a piece that she'd written or tweets that she'd made to Regina Doherty. And our headline was chilling, and it is chilling, Johnny. I mean, it's chilling actually that none of the mainstream press have covered it at all, even though Leo said that he'd read about it in the paper, but I haven't read it in any papers myself.
Yeah, well, that's the silencing of the media, John. We've been on about it, and that's what gave the impetus in relation to people understanding and being informed about what's going on. So it's to curtail that. You know, whoever controls the media controls the mind. She was
So
an
what you were talking about earlier,
academic, as you said, and she was a American citizen, Tyrone born. That's her field of expertise. I don't know exactly what she was writing about Doherty, but obviously got her back up, and she was able to get the police, which are tools of the establishment at the moment, but essentially they work on behalf of the public and the state, not just for one part of the state. So she was able to say, go out and slap her knuckles on her way. And yeah, I don't know what her response was afterwards. I know she wrote the piece, but where she is now. But is that just another kind of, you know, threat in relation to people having an opinion?
well, I mean, talk about
it's kind of serious for freedom of speech again, isn't it?
Well, of course. I mean, it's so blatant and so clumsy and badly done. I think perhaps they didn't realize.
And sinister.
I beg your pardon?
And sinister, being able to abuse her office like that, or she mightn't even see that. She said that's her job as a minister. She's entitled to get Gardaí to go and do this.
Well,
and then it brings the whole thing into not disrepute, but questioning about what exactly can the government or the establishment, for that matter, ask the Gardaí to do. Can they ask them to go out and bait the heads off protesters in Rossport? Can they ask them to go and bait the heads of protesters outside water meters? Like, who do they represent? This is it.
Like, you know, like if someone makes a complaint, okay, if we look at it like that, if someone makes a complaint, you think, okay, the guards will go to their home, you know, or something. If they follow it up like that, if you know, although I'm not too sure of the nature of the complaint, we don't know, you know, but it's very worrying and troubling. But you think they go to their home, but the fact that these two, and she's saying that they weren't wearing a uniform, plainclothes Gardaí to the gate of an airport, you know, and she's claiming that she had to sign this document, whatever it was, before she could get on the gate. You know, she didn't seem, you know, she seemed to be quite backed into a corner, you know, so that's another level.
Because she had an engagement in New York, she was just happy to waive her to get on the plane. But I'm sure she had more time, and knowing that that's her industry, she probably would have challenged it there and then, and would have made a bigger story. So Broadsheet were able to highlight it, and it's kind of filtered out, and it does bring into question exactly what you can or can't say. Well,
I think like Dave McCullough asked Leo about it tonight. So Leo Vacker about it.
Could you read out the quote there?
Yeah, I can. 2 seconds. Sorry now. Just give me a sec. And I think I think somebody mentioned it in the Dáil today, didn't Ruth Coppinger mention it? Yeah. Sorry now, my computer is having a moment. So Leo, where is it? Come on. Sorry, my laptop is on the glass.
My bin poll after this.
Just an interlude there. I heard Leo was looking for a mandate with the Canadian, from the Canadian
Trudeau.
Yeah, no, so
Johnny, that's no.
I have it here.
You're going to get trouble. It's, you know, we just associate ourselves from lame jokes.
So Dave McCullough said, sorry, I'm totally interrupting. Will I read out the McCullough thing?
Yeah, please do, yeah.
Sorry, Johnny, I feel like I'm speaking over you again. McCullough said to Leo, I don't know whether you've seen claims by a blogger that she was approached by Gardaí and warned against posting criticisms of Regina Doherty on social media, but if that turns out to have been true, would you be concerned about that? And then Vacker said, I actually don't know the facts of that case, and I saw something in the paper, but I haven't had a chance to talk to Minister Doherty about it. I would imagine that if anyone was cautioned by the Gardaí, it would be done for legitimate reason. You know, Gardaí don't caution people because of interpersonal disputes or a civil offence. If somebody is cautioned, my understanding is that it has to be related to some sort of criminal offence, but I actually don't know the details of that.
Okay.
So,
I mean, he doesn't want to defame the author, Catherine. I mean, very odd, isn't it? We've run out of time. Thank you.
For good news story, John. We need a good news story.
We need to do.
John, can we do my bin poll really quickly, and then we'll go on?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so I did a bin poll today, which is in the city centre, you have to leave out your bins to be collected in the actual bags. But the problem is that seagulls can peck these bags open, which leaves a sort of a kind of a situation, which is, if this happens to you, whose responsibility is it to clean it up? Is it your responsibility? Is it the city council's responsibility, or is it the or is it the responsibility of the, what do you call it, so hold on, I'll get this now. Right, can you see this now?
Yeah.
So I just find it kind of interesting because, as in my opinion, it's not really your responsibility because you are not allowed to use a dustbin or a wheelie bin. I don't think it's the city council's responsibility because they kind of rent it out to Key Waste, but Key Waste got back to me, and they kind of didn't really give me much. Like, they said, just please ensure that they're presented out kind of soon enough before presentation, but they didn't say if they will take responsibility for it or not. This is kind of interesting because today I saw a whole pile of rubbish like strewn over the street, which is with a whole pile of seagulls, and it also causes a problem with potentially rats or mice. But just would be interested in, what do you think is in it? Whose responsibility is it to clean it up?
That's brilliant.
I mean, the crows maybe as well. There's a whole range of them. And then what's the solution?
Yeah, the solution. That's the thing, is in, because we can't use proper bins. I mean, as in, like, the solution would be, as in, if there was communal bins that you could just bring your stuff and dump it off to, rather than to have to every Thursday evening or Wednesday evening to have to the whole street leaving out all their bins. Probably the best situation would be if there was places where you could just drop off your stuff. Because with the bins as they are, as in, you also have to deal with having your rubbish in your house for the week, and if you miss if there's even a hole in your bin bag, the bin men don't take it. So it's just kind of, it's an interesting one for thought, basically.
Thank you very much, Laura. I mean, peck-resistant bin bags, you have to, Johnny, we might develop. No? Okay.
It's the Young Scientist project, John. That's the Young Scientist winner of 20.
Oh, brilliant.
Young Scientist. Going to be two young fellas from Cork who are 13 years old that have come up with peck-resistant bin bags. That's what I think.
I mean,
the seagulls nowadays are like the size of young Labrador puppies. So
the size of young lads, like
strong one.
Tykes. We're going to have to leave it there. Thanks so much, Laura Gaynor, Olga Cronin from the Sheet, Johnny Keenan, and hello to Terry McMahon. Thank you for taking our calls earlier, and hopefully we'll have you on one night. Thank you very much. Good night.